Hey, everybody. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Type a 1 in chat if you can. Let me know for sure. My name is Cal. Thanks for joining me here. And today we're going to have a workshop talking about content and how to get better results through SEO. This is my first time using StreamYard, so I'm getting used to the buttons a little bit. But let me know if you guys can hear me for sure. And that would be really helpful. Let's see, that's not it. Okay. Yeah, let me know for sure you guys can hear me. It'd be great. And we will get started here in just a minute. I'm just setting up my demo here so I can show you guys some stuff. And yeah. Just going to give it a minute. Let anybody show up that wants to show up. Then we're going to get into some goodness here for SEO. All right. People showing up. Nice to see you guys. Give this just another minute. Be sure if you guys have any questions you want me to answer during the workshop, just go ahead and put them in chat as well. They should all show up here. I'm broadcasting this on a couple different channels, so wherever you're at, I appreciate you guys being here. Let me know what you guys struggle with the most here in SEO. if you guys are new, if you're just starting your store too, I know it can be really overwhelming. So I want to give you guys some things that you can do, and everything that we're going to talk about today is stuff that we can do as individuals without hiring somebody like my company. I'm going to give you guys some practical ideas. I need to get like a countdown slide here for my workshop. Okay. Give this just a couple more minutes or a couple more seconds, really, maybe a minute more, and then we'll get started. Some good questions. Appreciate those coming in. Okay, I'm about ready if you guys are ready. Now, during this workshop is not going to last long, probably be about half an hour, give or take. But I want to show you guys some stuff that I haven't seen other people do and give you guys some of my secrets. And again, these are secrets that you guys can do on your own. Okay. Just going to use a demo store here. All right. Now all right. So welcome to my workshop. I appreciate you guys being here. My name's Cal. Wherever you guys are seeing this, I appreciate you guys being here, whether it's on my YouTube channel, e-commerce growth, whether it's on our Facebook group, joinecommercegrowth.com, or on one of my websites. I appreciate you guys being here. And I want to show you guys today some very practical things that you can do to improve your SEO. We're going to talk specifically about categories today. I may have a future workshop where I talk about products, maybe other things. But if you guys are unfamiliar with me, or if you haven't watched my video before, my name's Cal, and I've been in the e-commerce space for more than a decade, since 2010. And I run an agency. I help people. I build stores. I market stores for other people. I have built my own stores as well. I buy e-commerce stores. We create apps for e-commerce stores. Man, I'm as deep as you can get on e-commerce, and I really love it. And I love helping you guys out. And so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, is to help you guys out. So this is going to be a little bit of a workshop. It's going to be a workshop in that I am recording this and broadcasting it live. You may be watching it after the fact, which is fine. But I wanted to put it out there so that people could join it. People could ask questions, as you would expect in a workshop. And I'm also going to just show you guys some stuff live. So if problems happen, then let's blame the live. But I am live, and it says live with StreamYard, which that's kind of tacky. So how do I remove that? I don't know. Let's see. There we go. No more StreamYard. I am on StreamYard, but I'm Cal Wiggins. You can see it down here in the corner, and my company's Epic Design Labs. And I'm going to share my screen here in a second. But here's what I want to talk about at a high concept is SEO. A lot of people come to my company wanting, some SEO magic. The idea is that if you pay somebody a whole bunch of money, that you will magically get more traffic. It kind of works that way, because there are things that we do that are very highly technical. There's a lot of things that we fix. There's a lot of audits that we run. There's backlink and all that kind of stuff. And you can definitely get better results by paying somebody to do those types of things. I'm not going to cover those things in this workshop. There are a lot of other good resources out on the net if you guys want to learn to become a professional SEO. But what I'm going to cover today is what you can do to do your part of things to make your SEO better, whether you hire someone to do the hard stuff or not. I'm going to cover the easy stuff. And the reason I'm going to cover the easy stuff today is that I don't see people doing it, and what I'm going to share with you guys is something that, I tell my clients and I encourage them to do. And I wish that all my clients would do it. And I wish that you would do it too, even if you're not my client, because this is something that's very doable by you. It's something that, just takes a little bit of time, and with a little bit of direction, I don't think it's difficult. All right. Now, my agency specializes in BigCommerce and Shopify. We do more BigCommerce than Shopify. And if you guys have watched any of my videos, you'll know that I definitely love BigCommerce. But the concepts today, I'm going to show you guys how to plug some things in on BigCommerce. But what I'm going to talk about today isn't really about BigCommerce. These are high-level concepts, and whether you're on BigCommerce or Shopify or something gross like WooCommerce, you can plug this in. It's the same concept, and the concept is, if we've all heard that content is king, Why don't people put more time and effort into their content? And I know that it sounds easy to say, yeah, let's just improve your content. But what does it mean? How how do you actually improve it and what does better look like? And so in this video, I'm going to talk about specifically how it relates to e-commerce, and we're going to talk specifically about categories today. I might do a future video about products and other parts of your store, but I want to just deep dive into categories a little bit and show you guys like what it really means to improve your content, what good content even looks like. Um, so let me share my screen. I have just set up a sample. See if it actually shares. Ooh, fancy. So I've set up just a sample sandbox here, and we're going to pretend that this is a real category on a real store selling real products. So for the purposes of today's discussion, I just going to pretend like this is my store. I sell water filters. These are my water filters. It doesn't really matter what you sell because what I'm going to show you guys really applies to everything. So let's talk about, first of all, what the what the different factors are in your search content. Your on page ranking factors. That's the word that I'm looking for. This really is live. So your on page ranking factors include how much text you have. It includes the keywords that are in your text. It includes your title or your H1, and you should have an H1 on every page and only one H1 because your H1 is kind of like the title of your book. And if your book has more than one title, it's going to be confusing. And so, really, the name of the game here is how to be less confusing to Google. How to have the best content means being less confusing. And it also means making sure that all of these SEO indicators, these ranking signals, are all in alignment to the same topic. So if you had your H1 that says water pond filters, but then you had maybe something else in your URL up here, maybe it said, mannequins. I don't know. I shouldn't have picked mannequins. I don't know how to spell mannequins. All right, putting that aside, you can tell like if your page says that it's about water filters and your URL says it's about something else, that's going to be confusing. And what we want is we want Google to look at this page and go, man, this page screams water pond filters, right? So your ranking rules include the content that's in your first H1 or your page title. It includes your actual title of the page, and this is something that shows up just in the code. You can see it right down here. It says title, water pond filters, page 1, Epic Sandbox 4. This is something that's usually dynamically put into the page, but you don't see it visually, because this is what you're telling Google is your suggested title if it comes up in search results. There's also your description, which is somewhere in here. Well, it should be. Maybe I don't have a description on here yet. That could be. Well, there's another field called description. I'm sure it'll show up here once I put it in. So your H1, your page title, your page description. Do you have any actual content, and does it have that keyword? Your first two H2s, your subheadings, and your images, because you have the ability to put keywords into the alt text of your images. Now, on your category page, on really like any store, your Shopify store, your BigCommerce store, your WooCommerce store, all these images are already going to have their alt text put in at the product level. So I'm not going to go over that today. But you can see that. So this one right here says alt big Biomaster Thermo 350. That's not gonna help me much on my category page, but if I go into the back end of BigCommerce, and you'll have a similar type of thing that you can do on Shopify or wherever your store is at, you can go to edit that category and make sure that you have your URL in the name. Make sure that make sure that your main keyword is in the name. Make sure your main keyword is in the URL. Make sure your main keyword is in the title, and maybe you want to put some water pond filters, my ponds, or whatever your store's name is to get a little bit of branding in there. And then write a meta description that can be up to 160 characters that says something like, are you looking for the best water pond filters for your store? We offer free 2-day shipping on all orders and can answer all your questions. Now, you probably know this much so far, but if you don't, be sure to put this in. And you can tell this is not code. This is just me typing in something that would make sense. And so what your page title and your meta description are is this is what you're suggesting Google should show up in search results. So it should hopefully say water pond filters. Are you looking for the best water pond filters for your store, for your salon? Sorry, I got stores in my brain. We offer free 2-day shipping, blah, 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 blah. And again, you do want to make sure that that's 140 to 160 characters. Don't go over because it won't show up. Now, all this stuff that I've talked about so far, you probably already know this stuff. If you don't, now you do. And it's something that just needs to be put in and done. You don't need a developer. You don't need really anybody to do this. You can use character count tools as you write this out to make sure that you hit, the right length. So you can just do a search for character count. There's plenty of sites. Like you can tell I've been to this one before. And then once you get in here, then you can just say, let's see, do we paste it in there? There you go. 139 characters. So I have a little bit more that I could include because you have up to 160 characters. So once you have your title, your URL, your page title, and your meta description in there, great. You at least have the minimum amount of stuff that you really need on your category page. But that's really not enough because right now, if Google crawled this, my water pond filters page is going to be the same as a billion other stores that sell water pond filters. Like I'm not the only guy on the whole internet that sells this. So what's critical now is to do a little bit of research, right? So the ranking factors that I have right now are my H1, my URL, which is not mannequins, it's water pond filters. So my URL is right, my page title is right, and my page description is right. You guys already know this. So what comes next? What comes next is not rushing to writing, but in my opinion, it's doing a little bit of competitive research. And here's what you do. You just do a search on Google for water pond filters. And you can skip the people that come up here as paid results because what I want to know is who has earned the best position on Google based on the quality of their content. I'm going to skip Amazon because they typically get ranked because they're just so big that, they just have the domain value. And I'm going to look at some of these independent guys like the Pond Guy, for example, and World of Water and Aquascape Inc. I'm going to leave this tab open because we're going to come back to it and do more. But this is where I'm going to start getting into the secret sauce for you guys. Number one, we want to figure out what does this guy do we don't do, right? So they have a paragraph up here where they talk about mechanical and biological filtration to keep your water clean, clear, and safe. So this is some good content. So that's one thing that they're doing better than my fictional store right now is they have a nice paragraph that has some good keywords and explains what this category is about. And they don't have a ton of content here, but they have a respectable amount. It's above the fold that introduces you to the category so that you know what that category is all about. They also have some nice little call to actions here. That might be something we want to think about. They have a whole bunch of products, the same as my fictional store. And then they have some additional content down here in the bottom. And this content right here has an H2 at the top. So on their page, they have an H1, their main heading. That's going to be dynamically put on your store, hopefully, if you're using a respectable system. They have a paragraph that introduces it and has a bunch of keywords. They have an H2 that has pond type filtration systems in it as a keyword. And then they have some additional paragraphs and some linking, right? So all of this is opportunities for us. And I do like, how they're doing this with a little bit of content up top and then some additional content at the bottom so that they don't really annoy you with a ton of content that gets in the way of what you're looking for as a customer, which is your products. So let's look at the next one. And this may be boring, but you guys, this is the secret sauce is, start out by figuring out what someone else does better and then let that inform your plan of attack. So this particular one, World of Water, has a bunch of subcategories listed. And then they too have some content. They have some, I'm assuming, H2s. So this is an H2. And this is an H2. So they have two H2s on the page. And they have a little bit of content at the top. And if I scroll down, nothing down there. So they kind of have a similar amount of content as the other site in that they have 2 or 3 paragraphs, but they have 2 H2s instead of just one. And they have subcategories, which is interesting. And the subcategories all have, keywords as their titles. And these keywords are all in H3, so that's interesting. This one, Aquascape, has a one-liner at the top. And then they have a bunch of content. And then they have, looks like, subcategories to get to the products. So all 3 of the top contenders, we're seeing some commonality here in that they don't just have an H1 in products. They have an H1, they have an intro section, and then they have some additional reading where this guy's talking about the science behind filtration and choosing the right filter for your pond. Now, this may be useful to buyers because they're looking for a pond filter right now, which is great. The science behind pond filters, I don't know that that's more important than products themselves. Okay. So now we've done a little bit of competitive research and we know why some people are beating us. This sounds basic, but people don't take this step, and so they don't ever think like, if I want to be the best free throw shooter in the NBA, maybe I should look at what Steph Curry does. That would be a good place to start. And then once you know what Steph Curry does, then how do we adapt, our shot to be more like Steph Curry, and how do we figure out what Steph Curry could do 2% better, 5% better, and try and out Steph Curry. This is what SEO is you're not trying to be average. You're not trying to be like everybody else. You're trying to be the best free throw shooter in the NBA. And so you guys, you've got to start out by looking at what other people do. Okay. And this isn't a magic wand. This is something that you got to do on a category by category basis. Or, only do it on the categories you care about, I guess, which hopefully is all of them. Okay. All right. So we know a little bit about now why we're winning. And believe it or not, this is not something that a lot of people do, but competitive research is where I always start. Figure out what the next guy does better and then formulate my plan of attack. So going back to my category, I don't have any H2s on the page. I don't have any content on the page. All I have is products, an H1, page title, page description, and URL. So I'm missing a lot of SEO ranking factors. So what I can do first is, let me see if I have this open. I think I could put a description here. This is just a pre-made theme that I'm showing you guys. This is not something I built. This is not a real store. This is just a demo instance. So it's all vanilla. And again, if you're on Shopify, don't worry, you can do this kind of stuff. The buttons are in other places, but all this stuff is possible on Shopify too. So you can see that if I edit the category and put a description in there, then it shows up here. Now, here's what you never do is copy the other guy's work, because if you copy their text, then Google, when they crawl your site, they also crawl their site, and they're going to flag that there's duplicate content somewhere. And that's going to give you a black eye, and it probably will hurt their SEO as well. And while it may be amusing to take them down a peg, that's not really the goal here. The goal is not to drag everybody down. The goal is for you to leapfrog and be better. So what I would start out doing is looking at what they are doing to introduce their categories. And, I would try and write something that is probably inspired by their ideas, if they're good ideas. If they're doing a bad job, introducing the category, then don't. Make your own thing and make it better. But no matter what, I would want something like this, to keep your pond or water feature looking beautiful. It's important to provide proper filtration, features, and benefits. I don't know, maybe this isn't that great. This one right here, the top contender, this one actually looks pretty good. Mechanical and biological filtration keeps your water clean, clear, and safe by removing debris or growing good bacteria with pond skimmers. This looks really good. So do not copy, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to copy so we have something in there. So let's say that this is what we originally wrote. Do not copy, but let's say this is what we originally wrote. We want to make sure that this keyword is in here. Now their category is technically targeted to a different keyword, which is koi pond filters, and my category is water pond filters. And so I want to make sure that I keep that main keyword in my initial paragraph. So I would change this and say, by removing debris or growing good bacteria with pond skimmers or waterfall filters. So let's just say that said water pond filters, so that now my main keyword is in here. Then there you go. So now my main keyword is on the page in text, which is great. And if I keep my save and go back to look at it, hopefully I'm not making you guys dizzy. Then now we have a respectable intro line. One small thing that I do a lot of times is I actually will I'll use the same thing that I did on the description, and maybe just add a little bit to it. So when we pasted this initial text into the page description, I would just use the exact same thing, because that was supposed to be a good introduction to people if they're finding your page on Google anyway. I would just keep what we had and maybe add a little bit to it, like check out our selection of pond skimmers below, or water pond filters below. All right. So step one in the secret sauce was competitive research. Step two is we are trying to put some content on the page. Now we've put one paragraph, if you will, a short paragraph at the top. And we don't want to annoy people, so I'm not going to tell you to put a ton of content at the top. But you can put additional content on the page as well. So if you go into on Ecommerce, the customizer, you can also use marketing banner bottom feature to do this. Depending on your theme, it should have that output to the page. But in the customizer, we can come in here and put additional content down here. So what I could do is drag in some text blocks. And now I can put even more content. So let's pretend that we wanted to put this content right here into the bottom. And again, don't copy, never copy. Come here and put that in there. I'm going to turn off the bold because that looks hideous. And let's make this 16 instead of the massive font that it is. All right, that looks not bad. I could maybe make it a little bit lighter gray so it's not super loud. Something like that. Okay, so we put a paragraph in, but we want to get to where we have at least 2 H2s on the page, and we want those H2s to match the title of the page. We want them to include the keyword, but not be a complete duplicate. So what does that look like? It means that we can add another block in here, and let's make this, I'm going to take my main keyword. Let's make this new block that we're putting in, which is right here. Let's make it say the caps on the effectiveness of insert keywords. Oh, they're all caps. Water pond filters. Or let's say, how do water pond filters help? It doesn't really matter as long as it's something that relates to that keyword and makes sense and actually describes the content that you're putting here. All right, so we've put an extra paragraph here. So we're starting to bulk up the words a little bit. And we put an H2 here that contains our main keyword. So this is good at a minimum. All right, hopefully I didn't cough on you guys. If I click publish right now, then our page is starting to look a little bit better. But there's still not that much content on it, right? What makes Google happy is if you have at least 500 words on your page. And we definitely don't have 500 words. It'll take a minute here for that to show up. But when it shows up, we're probably around 200 words, 250 words maybe. I'm guessing. There it is. But our page looks a little bit better. It's not tacky, which is good. But we want to get 2 H2s and we want the keywords to be in those H2s. So what these guys did, how to choose the right filter for your pond. This is a good idea. So this is helpful to clients, and you could do something like that as well and say how to choose the right whatever. Put some content down below. That's a great idea. Another idea, I mean, that is a really great idea. And they got a fair amount of content here. Now, what I would have done differently if I was them is I would have put it probably at the bottom so that you're not obscuring the thing that people are coming there to see. Because if I said, "Hey, I want to look at pond and water filters," and for me to have to scroll this far down to see them, it's kind of annoying, and bad user experience is not great for SEO. So, I wouldn't recommend that, but I like their content. I would just put it below the products like I just showed you guys how to do. So, you can sit here and think, "How do I come up with unique content for every single category?" And you can get inspiration from other people that are beating you. Once you have your content live, you wanna watch the keyword and see how you do. Come back to it in 2 or 3 weeks and see how close to the top you are to know kinda how well you did. But let me show you guys a couple other ideas. This is a little bit more developer-y, but if you can get into your template files, what you could do is programmatically, meaning that you're adding it to the themes program, you can add some content in here that is automatic. Actually, before we do that, actually, yeah, no, that's right. I'll show you guys that next. So programmatic H2s. This is one of my favorite things to show people because most people don't really realize that you can do it. Copy this theme so I can edit it. Most people don't realize that you can do this, and they don't really think about their content as, is there ways to dynamically create content that I can apply to my whole store at once that is also helpful to my customers and not spammy? So let me show you guys this. Now this part is a little bit codey. So if you're not comfortable doing this, but you want to do it, just reach out to somebody like us or a current developer. And it shouldn't be hard to do this. And you can use this technique on really any platform because the title of your page is dynamic. So where you have that title field that it outputs on every single page. And so, not trying to be dramatic here, but this is a live workshop. Okay, so if I go into my theme, and if I find the theme file here for my category page, then here's the code for it. Here's where the sidebar is and the products are and all that stuff. Okay. And up here is where our category name is. So I'm going to show you guys this. And even though it's codey, like understanding that you can do this is going to make you more dangerous because you could just have somebody else do this. So if I go into my code here, I'm going to add a little bit. And I'm going to put this in H2. I'm going to say questions about category name. Now, this is the code that dynamically puts that category name onto the page in your H1. And so because I'm reusing that piece of code, this is going to give me a unique H2 on every single category that's going to say questions about this category, which means that this H2 is never going to be repeated anywhere else on the site. And it's, in the exactness. And then I'm going to put a paragraph here. And I am going to say, give us a call or contact us at, I'm just going to put like something to represent a link to the contact page. Yeah, let me do that. So just imagine that that's a link. So contact us at link to get all your questions answered about. I'm going to put the title in there again. We are around Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then you can even get fancy and maybe put a button here that says contact us. Point this to your contact page. I don't know if that's really the URL on this site, but let me go ahead and save it. I'm going to actually put this in a div. Okay, so I want to style it. Developer and me just can't not surround something in a div. All right, saving that. So what we just did is we just added some dynamic text content to the category, but it's not to a category, it's to all categories. So when I do this, you'll be able to see what I just did. It takes Ecommerce forever to save things in their theme editor. But let me refresh. It'll usually take up to a minute for it to actually show up when you make theme changes. But there it is. Now it looks super ugly because I don't think I put it in the right spot. Let me go and change where I put it so you guys can see a non-ugly version of it. Put it right here. And let's resave. Now remember, you can do this similarly on Shopify. It really works the same. It slightly different syntax of the page title, obviously a different location of where in your theme files that would go, and you're even if you're on BigCommerce, you're probably on a different theme, and so it might be in a different file. But I just want to show you guys the concept of now how we have an H2 on the page that says, how do water pond filters help? Followed by, well, it's supposed to be an H2. Not H2. Oh, I didn't make that an H2. Let me go back and do that. This is what happens when you do it live. So you can't just cut it out. Okay, going back to here. In my element here, I was meant to make that an H2. Now it's an H2. Okay. So I go back to the front end, refresh after a minute or so. It's going to show that in an H2. All right, there we go. So we got one H2 here with water pond filters in it, our main keyword. We have a paragraph, which is an improvement and originally written because you do not copy. And then we have a whole extra H2. And when we added this to our template file, because it's in the template file, it's on all categories. So if I went and looked at my main category here, whatever's in here, then crazy stuff's in here. You can see it also applied it to the main category. So if this main category had a real keyword that it was titled on, it would say questions about guitars, questions about whatever. And we have a piece of text here that's actually valuable to people and gives them a link to contact us. So, just to see the differences, here's the water pond filters, questions about water pond filters. Here's the main category, questions about main category. Give us a call to get all your questions answered about main category. That's huge, you guys. So what I see people do a lot is they come to me and they say, I want to throw some money at SEO. And that's great. I can help you with that kind of stuff. But man, work on your content, get some H2s on the page. And if people don't have the content created, I know that it takes time to create content. I create content on my store and on my service business. And believe me, I have to create a lot of content. So I get how hard it is. And I also get that it's overwhelming to do it across 60 categories. But with this one step, you're able to put a little bit of text on the page and you're able to get an H2 on the page and an extra keyword in the body. And you're doing something that is actually beneficial for your customer service. So to me, this is a no-brainer. Put this in like right now. People don't do this. This is, I know I talked about some basic stuff coming up to now, but this is advanced but easy. So if you do this, you will instantly have a keyword specific H2 on every single category that you have. Now, I'm not telling you to stop there because I want you guys to have your keyword in your H1 and your keyword in two H2s. And we've managed to do that here in this example because we have an H2 here, we have an H2 here. That's great. But there's something else that you can do too, which gets even more content on the page. And I don't have my demo set up to show you guys this, but I'm gonna kind of I'll show you. I don't have accordion set up on this demo is what I don't have, but I'd like to put some accordions on the page. So I'm just gonna show you guys how to come up with the content, and we're gonna pretend like we're putting it in the accordions. But if you're on BigCommerce, I recommend using my accordion widget from Epic Page Builder Widgets. I'm sure there's a comparable widget for Shopify that will put content in an accordion. So we're just going to put it on the page and pretend like it's an accordion. And here's what that looks like. So if we come back here and let's have like just a section here where we're going to put another H2 on the page, and we're going to say frequently asked questions about water pond filters. Okay, and we're gonna put that in H2. We're gonna save that. So that is gonna put an extra H2 on the page. And if you don't like it, spelling out frequently asked questions, then you can say water pond filter FAQs or something. That's fine. The important thing is to get at least two H2s on the page. Now, the reason that I like accordions and FAQs so much, and I'm super addicted to them, is that you can generate a lot of text without it feeling like it's a lot of text. Let me go back and just change this to not say frequently asked questions because it's just so big, it's like distracting me. FAQs about water pond filters. Okay. And we're going to put another block in here where we're just going to put some text in here for now. But we're going to pretend like this is the text that we're putting into our FAQ accordions. I'm going to go back to my category. Oh, by the way, hi Alex. Just saw your note. Do you guys have any questions, by the way, as we're going through here? If you're actually watching this live and not, recorded after the fact, type questions in. I'm here to answer questions. And, some of this stuff that I started out with was small and easy. I have to show you guys the small and easy stuff because people skip the basics, but we're in the advanced stuff now. Let me go back here. Use about that. I'm going to just duplicate this paragraph block that we did and stick it there just so we have something. And all right, so now we're ready to go. So the next step is, what questions do people have about water pond filters? And what I want you guys to do before I show you the next thing, which is the secret, the hack, I want you guys to write down what questions you think people are already asking you about water pond filters. So, like, how much are they? How often do I need to change them? What to look for in a good water pond filter? Is this type of filter better than that type of filter? I'm not really in the water filter space. Like, this is just a random example. So I don't really actually know anything about water pond filters, you guys. But, write down the questions people are already asking. The reason I want you to do this before you do what I'm about to show you is because the things people are actually asking are the things people really want to know if they're making it to the asking you on the phone type of stage. So write down those questions. I'm using Alex's theme, Roots. Yeah, Roots is pretty good. I like Roots. Roots is my on BigCommerce. Roots is my go-to quick and dirty theme. Now we build everything on Cornerstone, so if we're going to actually design and develop something, Cornerstone is the template that we use as a baseline. But Roots, if we're just getting something out quick, Roots is pretty classic. I do like Roots. It looks good. Okay, so you've written down your FAQs. Let's go back to our Google search. And I want to show you guys two things. First of all, we're on the search water pond filters. If we scroll all the way to the bottom, then Google tells us some related searches. And this is all good stuff to put into the content that we wrote for our description, the content that we wrote for the bottom of the page. Because Google says all these things are related to each other. And so if you're talking about DIY pond filters and small pond filters and pond filter replacements and koi pond filters, just through the course of your content that you put on that page, great, Google sees you're kind of talking about everything to do with this topic, and now you are more relevant to the topic. So be sure when you're writing your content, come down here and look at this, right? What else you can do is on some searches, it shows that, which is a new feature of Google, but some searches, it will show this. This is the secret here, you guys. One of the secrets I'm showing you guys today is that Google actually will tell you what other people are asking or what they perceive other people as asking that's relevant to this search. And so if you answer these questions on your page, you're also now increasing your relevancy to that search, water pond filters, because now you have the keyword water pond filters, you have a description, you've included some of the related keywords into your content on the page. And now we're we're actually going to answer questions that people have when they're thinking about water filters anyway. And so if you take the questions that you wrote down prior to this, hopefully you didn't cheat, hopefully you actually wrote them down, and then you look at these and say, do any of these make sense to include in my questions? Then, hopefully you have a good 5 to 8 questions. It's kind of what I would shoot for. I would actually shoot for 6 to 8 questions. I think 5 is a little bit underdoing it. So the first step is find the questions that you want to answer. So you have the ones that you wrote down, you have a couple that Google suggested, but maybe you don't like a couple of these, or maybe you think a couple of these are more relevant to a different category that you have, not this current one. And so you don't really want to choose these 5 exactly, and you didn't come up with enough, on your own. So where do we go to get more questions? Man, this is so easy. Let me show you guys the trick. If you click on one of these and then close it, you can see it added 2 more. If I click on one and I close it, you can see it added a bunch more. I mean, this is cheat mode. You just have Google show you a whole bunch more questions. So I have a lot of clients tell me like content is hard, they can't do it. And I show them this and they're like, oh shit. I don't know if I could say that on YouTube. Um, this is easy mode. Google will give us ideas to rank better on their search. It doesn't get easier than this. And if you notice, I haven't shown you guys any fancy SEO tools. This is just Google. So Google will tell you guys some related keywords. It will tell you related questions that you can answer. And if you just pick, again, 6 to 8 questions that you think are good questions that people actually would want to know, and then you write out a paragraph and a small bullet list, maybe 2 paragraphs as an answer for each of those questions, I guarantee you that just in your FAQ section, you're going to be adding an extra, 5, 6, 700 words for the page. So here's what we're at is we wrote the description for the top. We wrote, another section at the bottom, whether it's a nice paragraph, whether it's a, buying guide, whether it's a, questions about this, but then you start putting their FAQs in here, and and if you don't know what to say, there's already answers here. You just have to look at this and say, what's the best filter material for a pond? And look at the answer and say, can I write something that good or better? So yeah, this is so easy. And there's not that many people that know about this. But what we're doing is we're focusing not on SEO tricks, coming up with these questions. You could arguably say this is a trick, but Google gives us this information. This doesn't require anything fancy other than just using Google. So I don't think this is a trick. I think this is a technique. And what we're trying to do is we're just trying to figure out how to be the best. So now that we've talked about your intro paragraph, your content at the bottom, maybe a questions block, maybe an FAQ block, highly recommend the FAQ block. In fact, what I would do now is I would go back to my demo here, and again, we're gonna pretend this is an accordion module. I'm sorry, I should have set up my accordion module here before the call, but this is my question. And then if we put the answer into an accordion, if you don't have an accordion module, just put them on the page like this, question, answer. Here is the answer. If you do this for, say, 8 questions and answers, then think about the page that you guys are going to have now. You're going to have a title, you're going to have an intro paragraph, you're going to have all of the stuff people actually want, and then you're going to have additional reading basically where you talk about that type of product. You have another 500, 600, 700 words of FAQs on the page. You have a good customer service thing. Now, while I said you need to have two H2s because Google really looks at your first H2s on the page, doesn't mean you can't have a third one. So there's nothing wrong with saying, here's a great bespoke paragraph. Here's something that we put together real quickly just by cheating and using Google and write it all the time. Write original answers. It's not going to help you copy. It really won't help you copy, but write original answers. And then we have another block here about questions about waterfall filters. So we actually have three H2s on the page that are all different, all have the main keyword, and all are actually valuable to your clients. So that's what I'm talking about today is how can we be the best? Because now if we look back at that top answer and say, are we better than this person now? Maybe not her specifically. She seems pretty cool. Are we better than this business now? They have a paragraph. They do have these bullets. We didn't emulate these bullets. Bullets might help. They have, a crappy massive paragraph down below that's like so wide nobody's going to read it. That's all they got. But we have this. We have it in a better format because it's not like super crazy wide. We have another 500, 600, 700 words of frequently asked questions. And then we have a questions block that's good for customer service. I'm telling you guys, this is better than the number one ranking result. And so if you want to rank higher, start by being better. And that's what we're doing. Now, so we've talked in depth about how to be the best answer, and this is super important. If you guys have a ton of categories and you don't have any content, good luck. Good luck ranking because there's nothing there for Google to decide that you're the best answer on. All you have is products, but everybody has products. So Google can't decide what products are best. They can only decide whose page is the best and whose page is the best content. Content is king. So don't forget about that. I want to show you guys one more trick, but that kind of sums up my content 101 here for categories, how to be the best answer. But there's one more thing I want to show you guys, which is that I'm gonna actually show you guys this on their site instead of my site. It's not a real site. But let's pretend like this number 3 guy wants to rank up actually. So we're gonna put on our aquascapeinc.com hat. I don't know who this guy is. If you're watching, come see me. Let's pretend like we wanted to rank this. I'm going to show you guys something really cool, which is that we're going to go back to Google and we're going to type in site : space. We're going to put in the URL. Now, if you do this for the entire site, this will actually show you guys what you have indexed with Google because you're saying, show me all the relevant results for this URL or this domain, which is apparently 1,540 pages. So if you're wondering how big your competitor site is compared to yours, maybe that's a difference. Then do this and say, okay, Google, how many pages you got? There you go, 1,540. But what I want to do in this case is, well, first let me show you if you do the actual search here. This is kind of interesting because you can see what Google actually has indexed here for their page title and their page description, and that's pretty interesting. Let me show you one more thing. If you do a search for site : URL, and then you type in their keyword water pond filters. What we're doing is we're asking Google, show me the most relevant search results for the keyword water pond filters. This is just like doing a normal Google search for water pond filters, except we're saying, but only show me results within this URL. Now, there's two things here. One, you should hopefully see the page that you're trying to rank is the number 1 result. And if you don't, that means that Google's really confused over what your page is about. So that's number 1. If you don't see the page you're trying to rank up in the first spot, you got problems. Google's really confused. But number two, what ranks, like, let's say second through sixth? This page, for example, Google is telling you is also relevant to water pond filters, but not as relevant as the page that's targeting your main keyword. But it's important. It's important to that keyword too, as is number three, and number four, and number five, and number six, and so on. But what I do is I take those second through six results, so the top 5 pages that are important to that keyword that are not the page that I'm trying to rank for the keyword. That makes sense. The top 5 pages that are not the main page for that keyword, so 2 through 6. And I look at those as internal linking opportunities. So if this page filters also has some SEO juice or whatever the kids are calling it these days, some SEO relevance to that keyword, this is a great opportunity for me to go to this page and find an opportunity to link to the other page. So what I would do at this point is I would go to the filters page and I would look at the text that's on here. This page on their site doesn't have much text. So I would use this as an opportunity to improve their text. And let me just do it here on the screen so we can envision it. So their text here says, Aquascape pond water filters keep your pond and water feature looking beautiful while maintaining optimum water quality by providing proper filtration. We could say something like, also be sure to check out our water pond filters. And what you do is make that link to the water pond filters page, just like that. Now I'm doing it in code because obviously I can't log into their site and take control of their description. So pretend like this is your site and you just logged into it to edit the description of your filter page. And so you've augmented the text that you have on the page to naturally include this other keyword. And you're linking contextually, which means that you're taking that instance of that keyword that you want the other page to rank for, and you're linking that to that page. So what does this do? It means that it's like if you're at a party and someone said, is there a doctor in the house? And everybody pointed at one guy and they said, that's the doctor. That is optimizing that person, that human, for the term doctor, right? That's what we're doing. I'm looking at the wrong camera. That's what we're doing with our context here. Is we are making sure we have the right keyword, and then we are linking that content to the page that is the most important for that keyword. And the reason that I'm doing that on these specific pages is because they already have some relevance. So Google already thinks that they're in the conversation about water pond filters. And so if 5 of the top 6 most knowledgeable web pages about water pond filters all point to that guy and say that's the guy that you need to go to for water pond filters, what this does is it makes Google really certain within the context of your site what should be authoritative for the term water pond filters. That's the part that blows people's mind a little bit. Number one, how to find the pages on your site that have some additional authority within that keyword, but then actually using that as a tool to improve your content. So while internal linking isn't part of the individual page's content, it is totally something that you guys can do without any fancy keyword tools, just using Google and a little bit of time. And so what you guys can do is really go through all of your categories and take, what I showed you guys today, start out by doing competitive research, find the top 3 to 5 other best answers, figure out what they're talking about in their content, how they're outperforming you. Use that to inform the natural content that you're going to create for the top and the bottom of your page. Again, anyone can do this. Like your nephew could do this. Your neighbor's best friend or whoever can do this. But I'd also like to say that there's there's things that you can do and there's things that you can't. And I do see a lot of people focus on the things that they can't do and want to just throw money at it. And I would suggest do the things that you can do and be a good operator. I've been developing for 13 years and I'm showing you the no code way that I can rank my pages higher just by being better at what I put on the page. I do this and I've been doing this for 13 years. It's not something that's fancy or technical. This is just making better content, you know? So do the competitor research, put some additional content at the top and bottom. Make sure that you have two H2s on each of your category pages and that they're unique. They're not just copies of of what is in your H1. So, just to look back at here, how did I save this? So my page now has a unique H1. It has a intro paragraph that targets the same keyword. It's got the URL having the main keyword. It's got an H2 that has the main keyword with valuable content. It's got another H2 that has the main keyword with valuable content, another 500 to 800 words. And then it's actually got a third H2 that also has the main keyword and is valuable content to your audience too. Now again, you can put your questions and answers in text just like I did, or you can look at our accordion widget, which I just don't have installed on this app. But if you do all this stuff, and if you did all this stuff for all of your categories, this is what Google is talking about. This is what the world is saying when they say content is king. And so I wanted to share that with you guys today, and I hope that you guys find this helpful. I'm going to do another one of these that's going to be around product pages here in the next couple of weeks. So be sure to stay tuned and check me out for that. I really appreciate you guys being here. Leave me a comment with whatever you guys found most helpful. Leave me a comment with whatever you guys would like to see in the next one. I'm going to start doing these workshops on a regular basis, maybe every 2 weeks. And while I'm a developer and everything I showed you guys today has really nothing to do with development, it has everything to do with you guys succeeding in your e-commerce store. That's what I want to help you guys do, is just succeed. And Alex, oh my gosh, Alex is rallying here. I agree with Cal. My 6-month-old niche site has been blowing up by applying what you're showing here. So this does work 100. I appreciate your comment, Alex. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody else being here. And this is simple stuff that you guys can do. You don't have to pay somebody else to do it. Just dig in, roll up your sleeves, start working on that content. Make your content the best. And when you come to me or somebody else to help you with your marketing or your site, the more ammunition your store has, the more you're going to win. So hopefully you guys found that valuable, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.